I couldn't help but think about the threads throughout the day, from INL to our opening keynote, to this panel. We are all reminded that we must carry on. When there is a challenge in front of us, seek support. When there is isolation and loneliness, seek connection. And if there is inequity, seek change. The final session for us today will beautifully weave these threads together. To find the right words, I turn to Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." Our interactive keynote, Imagining the Future with Hope, amplifies this message. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Tad Worku, a family nurse practitioner, an educator, a musician, and most recently, a mission coach at Inland Empire Health Plan, the largest not-for-profit Medicare/Medicaid plan in the country. In 2012, Mr. Worku was set to embark on an international tour and release his debut pop album, which he received funding for from a grant. Instead, Mr. Worku chose to cancel his tour, return his funding, and step away from music entirely in search of a more profound calling he had not yet found. That decision led Mr. Worku into emergency nursing at a level 1 trauma center in Southern California. He credits his 6 years as an ER nurse as the foundation of the music he began to write to process his experiences as a clinician. Mr. Worku is a Daisy Award winner, received the Loma Linda University Health Emergency Nurse of the Year Award, was designated as a Loma Linda University Children's Hospital Child Life Hero Awardee, and was in the inaugural class of ambassadors for AARP's Center for Health Equity through Nursing. We are delighted to have Tad join us this afternoon to share his music, his experiences, and his powerful message of hope. Please welcome Tad Worku.
I feel them falling like raindrops upon my face. Another morning I whisper, I need your grace. I didn't know I'd be walking into a storm. When is the cavalry coming? My courage is worn. Somebody turn on the lights now so I can see. Through the darkness we battle what we cannot see. I'm in the valley of the shadow of death. I fear, Father, fill me with faith so I know you're here. And when the arrow flies, shield me so that I keep on standing. Help me see the light. Lead me through the night to keep on standing. I wrote those words in December of 2020. It was the height of the COVID surge in Southern California, and things were chaotic in our hospital. I remember reading a post from a night shift nurse that said, "It was the first time in my career that I didn't think we'd be able to take care of every patient who came through the doors of our emergency department." We'll come back to that emergency department, but let me introduce myself. My name is Tad Worku. I'm the son of Ethiopian immigrants. I'm a family nurse practitioner, currently an executive mission coach at Inland Empire in Southern California. By the end of this presentation, my hope is that each of you would be more equipped to examine your own stories and experiences in healthcare in order to better understand how you can find hope and meaning in your work. I have no financial disclosures or conflicts of interest with this presented material. The reality of healthcare over the past several years has been a challenging one. According to a survey conducted by the organization Mental Health America from June to September of 2020, they found that 86% of healthcare workers experienced anxiety. 76% reported experiencing burnout. 75% said they were overwhelmed. As many in this room know all too well, those challenges have continued over the past 4 years. I stand before you as a fellow nurse and healthcare provider with a deep passion for wholeness, but not only the wholeness of our patients, the wholeness of those providing and leading the care as well. How do we make others whole without losing ourselves in the process? How do we move ahead without leaving ourselves, our whole selves, behind? What are the stories that we're telling? And what stories need to be told? These are some of the questions that we'll explore together during our time. And I'm going to use the power of music to start that exploration. You see, music is made up of 3 fundamental parts: melody, harmony, and rhythm. And when these 3 components come together in sync, they create something truly magical. Research has shown that music impacts almost every area of the brain. What's more fascinating is that the brain and body respond to music by becoming a musical instrument in the process. And music has the power to connect us through shared experience. And I want to invite each of you into a shared experience. I want to invite you to take your cell phones out. It's probably the only time in a talk you'll be invited to take your phones out, but take your cell phones out. And I want to invite you into a question. You're going to see something on the screen that has a QR code. And let me set it up for you. The past 4 years have been unprecedented post-COVID, especially for those who are in healthcare. And so I want to ask you the following question: to describe the past 4 years in one word. And you'll start to see those words come up onto the screen. Transition, chaotic, heartbreaking, burnout, stressful, anxiety-provoking, recovery, quick, frustrating. We'll give a moment for these words to continue to come through. Challenge, exhilarating, growth, scattered. I resonate with so many of those words. As Dr. Scott said in my introduction, in 2020, I was set to tour the world after releasing my debut album. And instead, March 16th, 2020, the entire world shut down. Instead of traveling, I found myself back in the emergency department taking care of patients with this unknown illness that everybody was scared of. Challenging, fearful, anxiety, all of the words that we shared together as a room were the impetus behind this song that I wrote, Peace of Mind. And I want to invite us collectively to reflect on your own experiences over the past 4 years as I sing this first song, Peace of Mind.
Time pass, fade away. Life changes in so many ways. You build your puzzle and you file away. Plans change, but it will be okay. Plans change, but it will be okay. Sometimes dreams fade, left broken in so many ways. With all the pieces you finally see. All along you had a plan for me. All along there was a plan for me. So open my eyes, help me to see the truth. That all my goodbyes brought me closer to you. All the fear inside, circle in my mind, help me to find, give me peace of mind. Tears fall, fade away, like shadows on a rainy day. I know the sun will always light them away. Rain comes, but it will be okay. Rain comes, but it will be okay. Some days I'll need memories of laughter looking after me. I know the morning's coming after the night. Hold on, 'cause it'll be alright. Hold on, 'cause it'll be alright. Hold on, 'cause it'll be alright now, yeah. Hold on, 'cause it'll be alright. And open my eyes, help me to see the truth. That all my goodbyes brought me closer to you. All the fear inside, circle in my mind, help me to find, give me peace of mind. Help me to find, give me peace in my mind.
Music also has the power to uplift us. But instead of trying to explain it with words, I figured we would use music instead. And if you find yourself moving or clapping, it's okay.
just wanna sing a song to pick you up when things go wrong. A simple little melody that you've known all along. Sing it when your skies are gray and smile all your clouds away. And even when your heart is sad, can't find the words to say, just keep on moving, holding your head up high. Stand up and say bye, 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 say goodbye. Oh, I know that I stayed stuck too long. Now I'm moving on up, pack my bags and I'm gone. Thought you tied up my wings, broke your strings. Now a new song I sing, and I see the sky just like the birds I fly, singing the high. La da da da. La da da da, la da 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 da, la da da da, la da da da, la da da. And I just wanna say hello to brighter days. Come on, let's go, where you can plant a seed of love and watch it start to grow. And even when your skies are gray, love will send the clouds away. Listen while your heart is sad, can't find the words to say. Just keep on moving, holding your head up high. Stand up and say bye, 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 say goodbye. Oh, I know that I stayed stuck too long. Now I'm moving on up, pack my bags and I'm gone. Thought you tied up my wings, broke your strings. Now a new song I sing, and I see the sky just like the birds I fly, singing the high. See, there's one thing that I've learned. Life may have its twists and turns, and its bumps and burns and scars. So before you start your day, get down on your knees and pray for the strength to just stand up and say goodbye. Woo! La da da da, 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 la da da, la da da. I know that I stayed stuck too long. Now I'm moving on up, pack my bags and I'm gone. Thought you tied up my wings, broke your strings. Now a new song I sing, and I see the sky just like the birds I fly, singing la da da. Now, I know everybody didn't come thinking they were going to be singing today, but that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to teach you the chorus, and we're going to sing this thing together. And there might be some holdouts, but I'm going to get to you. So here we go. La da da da, la da da da, la da 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 da, la da da da, la da da da, la da da. Early birds, come on in. La da da da, la da da da, la da 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 da, la da da da, la da da da, la da da. All right, there's more of you in here. Come on. La da da da, la da da da, la da 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 da, la da da da, la da da da, la da da. Holdouts in the back. Come on. La da da da, la da da da, la da 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 da, la da da da. La da da da, la da da, as loud as you can. La da da da, la da da da, la da 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 da, la da da da, la da da da, la da da. And by yourselves, last time.
Give yourselves a hand. So, you might be feeling good right now, and there's a reason. Singing songs together with the people around you releases dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins from your brain. These are the chemicals that promote connection, trust, and joy. The truth is, we're physiologically wired to connect with the people around us. But as author Sandy Wyman puts it, we are only able to connect to others to the extent that we are connected to ourselves. And now that we've connected and seen how music can uplift us, I want to draw your attention to the idea of presence. Dr. Dorothy Siminovich, author and master coach, sums it up beautifully by saying your presence is an intervention. Just the way you show up in space can be an intervention in itself. And so I want to ask you a question. What do you notice about your presence today? How did you show up this morning? Has anything shifted in your presence since singing together? In a world so fragmented, broken, and disconnected, our presence has the ability to be a healing balm. One of the other things that people asked over the past 4 years was, am I living my purpose? And maybe it was, what's my purpose? There are several reasons why that question is important. A study of over 136,000 participants found that high sense of purpose in life is associated with a reduced cause of all-cause mortality and cardiovascular events. We live longer with purpose. The Japanese word ikigai, which translates reason for being, is a concept recognized as a contributing factor to the Okinawa Blue Zone, one of the areas of the world that have people that live the longest. To bring it closer to home, Dr. Tate Shanafelt, Chief Wellness Officer at Stanford University, and one of the earliest researchers in burnout and clinicians, found that those who experienced meaning, purpose, and joy in their work at least 20% of the time had a significant buffer against burnout. Personally, I wasn't always searching for ikigai. In fact, after graduating from college, my only goal was to be rich and famous. I had no intentions of ever going into nursing or anything healthcare related. And I want to tell you about how I discovered my purpose, as well as some of the stories that sustained purpose for me during difficult times in healthcare. Like I said, after graduating from college, I wanted to be a famous pop soul singer-songwriter. It would take a few years, but that dream started to take shape. I connected with an award-winning group of musicians and producers, finished recording my debut pop soul album, and was funded for my international tour. What I realized during that season was that I had talent and the ability to entertain people. But when I searched deeper for my purpose, I didn't have an answer big enough to satisfy me. Was there more? I felt like I was being called into something deeper, something that resembled ikigai. Ultimately, on January 6th of 2012, I made the decision to cancel my debut album, venture out in search of purpose and meaning. And that decision led me to the idea of nursing. I wanted something that my hands would be directly connected to purpose. And every time I thought about it, I saw the direct connection when it came to music. A few weeks later, I was sitting in prerequisite classes to study nursing. I went from being served as an artist to learning how to serve. I went from wanting to be a somebody to somebody who was humbled. Going into nursing was disorienting to the identity that I had built as a musician. But I also found a deep sense of peace, knowing that I was living on purpose. My first job out of nursing school was emergency trauma at a level 1 trauma center in Southern California. Something you should know about me is that I'm a hopeless optimist, a glass half full kind of person. I remember early on in my training, someone said to me, "Give it 3 years and we'll see if you're not jaded." It wasn't meant with malice, but that statement stuck with me and shook me. Had I just stepped away from the possibility of a lucrative career in search of purpose, only to end up jaded? Was that story true? Did everyone who stepped foot into healthcare in the emergency department leave jaded and hardened? Those were questions that would end up challenging me and ultimately changing me over the next 6.5 years in that emergency department. You see, the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves and the people in the world around us shape so much of who we become. Stories shape how we move through the world. And it was stories that shaped my experience as a nurse. I asked myself the question, how could I break the story that everyone ends up jaded? I hypothesized that one of the ways might be by connecting to the stories of the human beings that I was caring for. I didn't have to wait long to test my hypothesis. My opportunity came just a few days later. I showed up to work, and I had a very busy list of patients. One of them, who had cerebral palsy, required total care and a lot of my attention. His mom was irritable and had complained about several things on the previous shift and fired the nurse prior to me, and so I was assigned. I remember feeling overwhelmed, and I also remember seeing that patient like a long set of tasks that would make my day difficult. At that moment, I recalled my hypothesis, and after I finished assessing my patient, I made the conscious decision to connect to the human. I asked his mother if she'd be willing to tell me the story. She proceeded to tell me about the complications during birth, how she suspected something was wrong and the delay in finding out. She told me of the anger that she dealt with for years and the amount of time that it took her to find forgiveness. She ended by apologizing to me for being so irritable, stating that she hadn't slept much for the past 3 days. I walked out of that room changed. I no longer saw that patient as a long set of tasks. He was a human being, and I still remember him and his mother over 8 years later. The second story happened in Trauma Bay 5. She was an 83-year-old patient with terminal cancer. By the time I had met her, I had been in the ER for around 4 years and made it a regular practice to connect to the human beings that were in my care. This patient had an inviting kindness in her eyes, and so as we can do so rapidly after establishing rapport, I told her, "I'll take care of you, but I have some questions to ask you." And we proceeded to talk. I asked her, What's the most meaningful thing in life? What's your biggest regret in life? My final question to her, knowing that she only had a few weeks left to live, was, what season of your life would you live over again if you could? To my surprise, she answered, this one. I asked her to elaborate, and she told me that she was surrounded by the people she loved, had seen her grandchildren, had a strong faith, and was at peace. If she could find such profound meaning in the last few weeks of her life, surely we can find meaning in every season of our own. I walked out of that room changed. A few months later, I wrote a song about her to speak to that interaction. She's the 83-year-old lady in the last verse. 83. She smiled and looked at me, said, you're just a baby at 32. The best of life is still in front of you. She said, don't stop believing that every season in life has a reason, a morsel to glean. She said, count your blessings, not time. Live to love, and you'll find you will be ready for 33. The last story challenged me to my core. This day, my patient was transferred from a smaller hospital for higher level of care. We worked to stabilize her over the next several hours, and she continued to decompensate until she died in my trauma bay. She was the first human being that had died in my care. I walked out of that room changed. I went home that night and thought about what had just happened. Had I finally reached an obstacle that would force me to succumb to the hardened reality of pain, loss, and death? Did hope remain? Did love remain? I wrote the following words a few days later. I've seen life slowly slipping away. I've seen death try and take it away. I've seen pain drop tears on a face. But in everything that I've seen, love remains. I've seen hope from the depth of despair. I've seen peace come from nowhere. I've seen grace wash the deepest of stains. In everything that I've seen, love remains. Because people always told me, just wait and see. When you get a little older, the world will be dark, like the stains on a window pane. But I can see through the stains, and love still remains.
I've seen life slowly fading away. I've seen death trying to take it away. I've seen pain drop a tear on her face, but in all I've seen love remain. Love remains, yeah. I've seen hope, oh, from the depth of despair. I've seen peace coming out from nowhere. I've seen grace wash the deepest of stains, seeing all. I've seen love remain. You see, people always told me just wait and see. When you get a little older, the world will be darker like the stain on a window pane. But I can see through the stain. Love remains. Love remains. You see, people always told me just wait and see. When you get a little older, the world will be darker like the stain on a window pane. But I can see through the stain. Love remains through the stain. I can see through the stain. Love remains. Love remains.
I could share several more stories of countless humans that I cared for, but I'll save those stories for another time. Let me instead share the lesson that I learned from the stories. These stories came from the same place that was supposed to leave me jaded and hardened. Instead, 6.5 years later, I stepped out of that emergency department, more connected to the human experience than I ever had been before. I still possessed a deep optimism and guiding faith, but could no longer be accused of being naive of life's complexities and challenges. Losing my patient was one of those challenging circumstances that taught me that though hope always remains, it takes courage to imagine a future with hope. But what is hope? Well, according to the University of Oklahoma's Hope Research Center, hope is the belief that the future will be better, and you have the power to make it so. Charles Snyder's hope theory is built on 3 main ideas: desirable goals, pathways to goal attainment, and willpower or opportunities to pursue those pathways. Goals are the potentially attainable, measurable short and long-term outcomes that we desire. Pathways represent the mental roadmaps that help guide our strategies on how we will get to those desired outcomes. People who have higher levels of hope can see multiple pathways to goal attainment. When obstacles arise, they look for solutions to obstacles instead of giving up. And willpower. Willpower represents the ability to press forward even in adversity and challenge. Dr. John Allen, senior staff psychologist at Menninger Clinic, describes the difference between wishing and hopefulness. Wishing is ubiquitous, he says, but it can be an escape from reality. Hope is different because it has to do with facing reality. Elaine Houston, a positive psychology researcher, says it this way: hope does not necessarily fade in the face of adversity. In fact, hope often endures despite poverty, war, and famine. While no one is exempt from experiencing challenging life events, hope fosters an orientation to life that allows for a grounded and optimistic outlook, even in the most challenging of circumstances. The question then becomes, can we increase our hope? Richard Miller, professor at Sanford School of Family Dynamics at Arizona State University, has been studying hope for over 4 decades. He believes that hope can be nurtured through the power of the stories that we tell. One of the ways to do so is through recalling past events to better understand what works and what doesn't work as we imagine the future. I want to share a personal family story of how this concept played out in the life of my father. My father was born in rural Ethiopia in a mud hut to a family of subsistence farmers. His mother lost a total of 7 of her 12 children from preventable childhood illnesses. At age 7, my father began his shepherd duties, and at age 12, he took over the farm to continue the legacy of subsistence farming. Early on, my father had a dream or a goal to get an education. The problem was education wasn't celebrated in rural Ethiopia because in most cases, it would decrease your family's workforce. One day, my father saw a pathway to goal attainment. He was met by 2 priests when he was 9 years old, and they told him that he could run away and go to a priest school. This would help him get his education. He decided to go along with the plan and ended up running away to join the school. About a month later, my grandfather, a staunch military man, found him and took him back to the farm. And at this point, he knew he wouldn't be able to run away again. Fast forward to age 15 and a half. My father was walking through the forest when someone walking in front of him released a branch without warning. That branch whipped back and struck my father in the left eye, causing him to nearly lose his eye. He developed an unsightly cataract and was traumatized. He traveled 2 days to the nearest hospital, and the doctor who examined him said, "I apologize, young man, but I can't fix your eye." He sat on the steps of that clinic, dejected. When he looked up, he saw school children playing at recess and remembered his earlier goal of getting an education. He decided this was his chance, and he enrolled himself in 1st grade at 16 years old. He told his parents that his treatment would take longer than expected, asked distant relatives to help him with his tuition, and started his education. He had 1 pair of pants, 1 shirt, a pair of sandals, 1 functional eye, and no money. But instead of giving up, he continued to search out pathways to move forward. Obstacle after obstacle stood in his way, but his willpower and faith remained strong. A few years later, a lady named Carolyn Stuyvesant from the United States moved to Ethiopia to teach. She hired my father as a teaching assistant after noticing that he excelled in English and could help her teach the other students. Carolyn gave my father hope when she offered to sponsor him through his education. And she would end up sponsoring him through high school in Ethiopia, college in Australia, and graduate school in the United States. You see, hope is one of the greatest predictors of finding meaning through trauma. That eye accident changed my father's life, but also revealed his life purpose. After completing 3 master's degrees and receiving an honorary doctorate, my father wanted to help the people that he left behind in his village. He created a nonprofit that did education for rural kids, women's health initiatives for the women who were there, and also cataract surgeries, that were doing hundreds of cataract surgeries in the exact same place that he almost lost his sight completely 60 years earlier. Psychologists Dr. Richard Tedeschi and Dr. Lawrence Calhoun introduced their theory of post-traumatic growth in the mid-1990s. The theory stated that people who endure psychological struggle following adversity can often see positive growth afterwards. According to Tedeschi, post-traumatic growth allows people to develop new understandings of themselves, the world they live in, how to relate to other people, and how to better understand how to live life. It's safe to say that nursing and healthcare have experienced collective trauma over the past 4 years. That's ongoing. But it's also safe to say that hope remains inside of this reality. There's a powerful excerpt from Clarissa Estes, an American writer and psychoanalyst, that I'd like to read. "My friends, do not lose heart. We were made for these times. Ours is a time of almost daily astonishments and often righteous rage over the latest degradations of what matters most to caring, civilized people. In any dark time, there is a tendency to veer towards fainting over how much is wrong, unrealized, or unmended in the world. Do not focus on that. There is also a tendency, too, to fall into being weakened by dwelling on what is outside of your reach, by what cannot yet be. Do not focus there. That is spending the wind without raising the sails. We are needed. That is all we can know. And though we may meet with resistance, we more so will meet great souls who will hail us, love us, guide us, and we will know them when they appear. Ours is not the task of healing the entire world all at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that is within our reach. Any small, calm thing that one soul can do to help another soul, to assist some portion of this suffering world, will help immensely. It is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip towards enduring good. When a shipbuilder builds a ship, he has to build it with the worst storms in mind. And he knows that you can have the fanciest new nautical equipment, the shiniest brass fittings, and polished oak decking, but the ship will sink or float based off of the weight that is below the waterline. And so it is with our lives. Life seems to be lived by what is above the waterline, and we spend a lot of our lives and energy rearranging the deck, but the strength and resilience to brave the sea comes from our heart and soul, what is below the waterline. When a great ship is in harbor and moored, it is safe. But that is not what great ships are built for. So what lessons can we take with us? We need each other. Dr. Robert Waldinger and Dr. Mark Schultz recently wrote the book, The Good Life, which documented stories from the famous Harvard Adult Development Study, the longest longitudinal study of human life ever conducted. When asked to sum up and boil down their research into a single principle, it was good relationships keep us healthier and happier, period. Their study also revealed that chronic loneliness increases our odds of death in any given year by 26%. The problem is, about 1 in 4 Americans report feeling lonely. We need each other. The good news is that there's several types of connection that can improve our health. Classmates, coworkers, family, small group, workout buddies, those we meet at conferences, all of these can contribute to our well-being. But it's also important to note that all connection requires courage, vulnerability, intentionality, and presence, but it's worth it. Number 2, the stories we hold with us ultimately change us for better or worse. We have the power to release old stories that no longer serve us, to make room for new stories that have the power to lead us to new places, new experiences, and possibilities. What stories will you choose to tell when you leave this place? May they be stories of hope and courage. And number 3, it takes courage to imagine a future with hope. But your courage to imagine that future will become hope for somebody else. And I want to end with a question that we probably all ask multiple times. Who are you? And it's a question that I asked when I was releasing my pop soul album into a world of music that I would be touring into. Who am I? Who are you? What do you have? Can you fill the shoes? And I wrote these words: tell me, what will you say? What will you do? People are asking, who are you? And where do you stand? Can you fill the shoes? Everyone's asking, who are you? I don't know how long I'll stay before the wind blows me away. But while I'm here, let me say, I didn't come for money. I didn't come for fame. I see a broken world, so I sing a brighter day. I came for all the people trying to make it through. That's what I'll say when they ask me, who are you? And I ask you the same question. Who are you? Can you fill the shoes? What are you here for? And so as I sing this song to close, I invite you to ponder that question.
Tell me, what will you say? What will you do? People are asking, who are you? And where do you stand? Can you fill the shoes? Everyone's asking, who are you? I don't know how long I'll stay before the wind blows me away. While I'm here, let me say, I didn't come for money, I didn't come for fame. I see a broken world, so I sing a brighter day. I came for all the people trying to make it through. That's what I'll say when you ask me, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Oh, got my feet on a cloud made of love, and heaven is right here beside me. I try and see with my heart. At times I fail, but angels are right here to guide how long I'll stay before the wind blows me away. While I'm here, let me say, I didn't come for money, I didn't come for fame. I see a broken world, so I sing a brighter day. I came for all the people trying to make it through. That's what I say when you ask me, who are you? Oh, I didn't come for money. Oh, I didn't come for fame. I see a broken world. Oh, so I sing a brighter day. I came for all the people trying to make it through. That's what I say when you ask me, who are you?